Let me unmute the mic first. Welcome, everybody, to the solo cast. It is me, Bammer. Welcome to Revival Productions. We are showing off the level editor today, as many of you have actually already gotten a jump start on the editor. So let's start the stream by saying there's going to be spoilers because a lot of the entities and stuff in the game show a list of everything in the game. So if you haven't played the game, if you haven't beat the game, or if you're, okay with spoilers, that's gonna be happening here. I'm gonna have the music on in the background if you guys like that. I can turn it off if we don't, but we'll see how it sounds in the end. Also, this is not meant to be a super comprehensive tutorial because we do have a series of tutorial videos by Luke that are going to be put up on the Revival Productions YouTube channel. If you do !editor in Twitch, we have a link to that playlist. It'll be added to periodically. I think we've only got the one basic introduction video so far, which is essentially what I'll be going through right now, with probably a little bit more in there. If I find that I don't know what I'm doing, I'm probably going to just end up downloading a handful of maps from you guys and just playing through that. I'd like to touch on some scripting because that's what interests me a lot. But we'll probably just be doing a somewhat simple challenge mode level. And then, well, we'll see where it goes. So, let's jump right into it. Here's the editor. Wow. I prefer dark mode. I know a handful of people like one or another. Let me bring this shit closer to me so I can actually see you guys. Also, let me know how everything's sounding in terms of the music and my voice, and then when we hop into game, if that's going to be alright as well. So, let's talk about the view first. So, layout, so I'm going to be working in 4-way, but you can change your layout to have well, let's show it off a little bit better. The first thing in pretty much every level you're going to be doing is placing a default segment first. So let's go ahead and click that up in the top left. That's going to just create a totally default segment. Also, I'm not in segment mode. Okay. And so you'll see top view of the segment, right, and front view. However, you can do top view as the main one, which, I mean, there are times where you would probably want to do this if you want to get like super specific about how you're going to be laying things out. You can do double, which actually isn't too bad either. Bottom I don't like at all. I'm going to be working in 4-way though, just so I can show off a little bit of everything here. You can zoom in, zoom out. Everything's somewhat intuitive if you've ever worked with any sort of editor in the past. There are, let's see, the most basic thing up here too, if you see mode, there's segment mode, side mode, vertex mode, and entity mode. For this sort of hour that I've got you guys, we'll probably be likely working mostly in side mode, because that's how you're going to carve out most of your levels. Though the rest of them can do a lot of funky things, especially vertex mode, where you can actually pull specific vertex or vertices. I know how to pluralize things. So, let's go back to side mode. I don't really know what I want to do yet with this, so let's just see where everything goes. So, you can press insert to make a new segment. It extrudes out by the extrude length. The default one is 2x2 question mark. Alright, Luke's gonna kill me by the end of this because I'm gonna say so many wrong things. I'm gonna give you guys so much misinformation, but here we go. To move around, if you've watched Luke's series of videos, he holds Alt and left clicks. I prefer holding middle click, which already moves it around like that, and then right click, which will rotate as you'd expect. Just be sure if you're doing that, you let go of right click before you let go of middle click. Yeah, we could do a simple box area. Okay, 4x4. That's what I figured, especially because the extrude length being 4. Well, actually, yeah, whatever. So we can mark two sides also and extrude out with both of them by holding Control and hitting Insert or I. If you don't hit Control, it only goes on the selected one, not the marked one. The difference between selecting and marking is, so you'll notice the orange box, that one's currently selected and is based off of where I currently clicked, or I can hit X to move the selection. Hitting spacebar is what marks it, so you'll notice that remains blue or purple. I'm colorblind, so bear with me in my colors. And then hitting space, you can mark as many sides as you would like. I don't know that I would want to extrude like that. That would probably be horrible. Yeah, I think the best way of learning an editor is to try to sort of create something that you're familiar with so that you at least have a guideline for it. This editor is super powerful and a little, what's the word? It's intuitive, but it's difficult to master. And I wouldn't even say easy to learn, difficult to master, like, the old cliche goes. But, of course it's not. It's an editor. You'll notice I am able to deselect everything without necessarily having it highlighted. That's by using Shift Spacebar and Spacebar to select one. If I hit Shift Spacebar with nothing selected, it selects every side if I'm in side mode. If I'm in vertex mode, it selects every vertex. If I'm in entity, there are no entities in the world yet. And if I'm in segment, it selects every segment. I saw somebody, was that you, Puddles, making that farm in like a crater? That was pretty funny, actually. Yeah, we've already got a ton of people who have created a ton of like fun little submissions. Let's see if this works. No, it doesn't. Okay. Go ahead and do that. So let's deselect everything, and I'm gonna actually place the player start right now so that I have an idea of where I want the start of the level to be and then where I want it to go from there. We can do the player start. We generally want to do place at segment center, and it always faces the selected side you have in that segment. Oh yeah, dragging an empty space also deselects and selects. So if I do that with no sides, if I do that, I should have selected a couple of them. Okay, it's got to be like pretty much perfect. Well, let's see. If this is a challenge mode map, actually, maybe I don't want to have it there. So I'm going to hit tab to switch this mode up here. You'll notice it's able to highlight different things. Right now I'm on entity. In order to manipulate entities, you have to have them selected. So I'm going to select it and just delete it. Let's make this back in side mode. Extrude backwards. So we're going to have a little tunnel right here. And then let's extrude out this way, and then let's start messing with the geometry a little bit. So in vertex mode, and you'll start figuring out how to switch between modes a little bit faster as you move on. It's always the same. It'll be, well, let's show you. Segment, side, vertex, entity. And if you hold shift while doing that, it goes backwards. So entity, vertex, side, segment. In vertex mode, I highlighted both of these vertices, which is a little hard to see in this mode, especially for me. But if you see it in here, that one will light up like that, and we can just right click and drag it. It will snap to the grid based on this down here, snap at 2, which is fine for what we want to do right now. The textures will get a little bit messed up, but I'll start messing around with textures a little bit later. So let's go do that to this side as well. We could be copying and pasting right now, but I'm gonna let you guys mess around with copying and pasting. I just kind of want to get better at showing off that. So let's say these are sort of more of a man-made area that I'm gonna do, and then it's going to connect to some caves, I suppose. Caves are really cool, especially in the editor, and you don't really have to mess around with it too much. Oh, it is kind of a bow tie ship. There's not a whole lot you really have to do to get it working as you would expect. We can mess around with the tunnel builder and things like that. So let's start a cave off of either side of here. So even though the texture layers itself twice, you notice this is only one segment and one side. Luke is also very good at using the keyboard to like move sides like that. Currently I've mostly been clicking and dragging, basically whatever works for you. Keyboard can make it snap a little bit easier, give you sort of more of a grid-based movement that you may want. So let's just jump right into the tunnel builder, huh? Am I gonna wanna, no, okay. Let's not jump right in just yet. Let's start texturing it first. Because if I don't texture it, they're all gonna be just this base texture that it starts off with, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna select every side on this one right here, and then we're gonna make this a cave texture. So we're gonna go show texture list up here. Hey, look at that. So you start with the alien ceiling, and here comes the spoilers. The caves are all the way at the bottom, or the rock walls as they're called there. I believe, I mean, they'll all pretty much do what you want them to do. You don't even need to make them a cave wall to use the cave deformation, but you probably should. So we're just going to highlight it and then say apply to texture with all of the sides selected, and there we go. We've got all 6 sides, even though you can't see that side. That one's also textured with the cave, so if we extrude back, it'll also have that cave texture, which is good because we're probably going to want to do that. Yeah, I'm going to probably make this the biggest man-made structure. Yeah, Glover, this will be on YouTube when we're all done on the Revival Productions YouTube account. So if you miss any of it, check it out there. Also, don't use this for reference because I mean, I know what I'm doing a little bit, but I've only had the editor for a short period of time. Let's see. Oh wow, I made everything very weirdly shaped. Let's extrude this main room out a little bit more so that I kind of know it's my main room. Almost had that. Okay. So in this right view, I just selected, if you can see, I selected all of the floor of that room by clicking and dragging there, which I find to be the easiest way of doing that, but I don't know. This is going to split it up into a lot of segments. You probably... maybe I should do that. No, you know what? It's too late. We're going to go ahead and hold control and insert. Am I not in side view? I am in side view. Oh, I also had that selected, I think. So now I'm going to hit control and insert. Why are you not extruding? Yeah, okay. Wait. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Can we do one-way doors? I think the only way to do one-way doors would be to have 2 triggers and 2 scripts that lock the door. No, Shroud, what I did was I had this side selected still. So when I tried to extrude down, it tried to extrude in, well, this way, which didn't work. Maybe it did, and I have a ton of segments there now. Let's find out. We can view segments, which I probably didn't do then. I'm not going to always have show segments on, just because it kind of gets a little bit cluttered when I do that for so long. So, I had forgotten, you need to have the side selected that you want to extrude, and then you can extrude down. Why did that do that? Whatever. I'm going to retexture everything eventually anyway. And since this is going to be a large room, I'm going to pull that down a little bit, and then I'll extrude one more time. So this splits up the room pretty nicely if I want to have like an entrance to a cave here or something, or if I want to do a number of other things here. One of my biggest problems and things that I've had to keep conscious of is, oh, it looks like for some reason concrete text is, or test, One of my biggest things is if I start trying to split up segments, I've sort of had triangles, which you do not want triangles in this. The game doesn't really know what to do with them, and generally it will not export properly, which you don't want. Let's go ahead and switch to segment mode there to select that segment and delete it. And oh, I see what you're saying, Miasmic. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll go through texturing and stuff in a minute here. I don't want to necessarily overwhelm beyond just building geometry first and then going into texturing, because texturing takes a long time if you don't know all of the textures, which even though I'm familiar with a lot of them since I've seen them in game like a ton, they're still like, they take some getting used to, at least, to get all the names. Let's jump right into the tunnel builder. So over here, tunnel builder, boom. This pops up a pop-up. You can actually dock this if you want, but I am not going to do that, just because then it clutters the workspace a little bit. You can set it on the side too, but that was also another thing that was kind of weirding me out when I tried to do that, because rearranging all of these is just a pain. Okay, so we're gonna do an arc, not a tunnel, and the arc, let's see. Let's see what I want to do, actually. I think I'm going to extend this out a little bit more, because I'm going to have an arc that wraps around down to there, but also an arc that's going to wrap around down to here in like a bigger cave area. This is what's in my head right now. Can we see the entity models in the editor? No. Entities will always show up as just that little triangle thing. Except for, I don't know. I've watched all of the Luke videos, but I only did once, so I'm not going to be an expert on all of this just yet. But no, all of the entities will be like that. There is a thing that you can do where it says show text. You can do marked entities. And then when you're in entity mode, you can shift space to select all of the entities. And then once you have all of them marked, you'll be able to read the names of all of them. So that's sort of how you get around the fact that they all look like triangles. But yeah, I don't know. That's one of the potentially lesser intuitive things, but you know, that's kind of how it goes. So let's see. If I wanted to connect down here, we need to go down a handful of segments. Let's see. Let's check it out. We're going to want to go down, and I'm going to do a smooth slope version of this. Let's say 10. Does that look like about 10? Well, a lot of this is going to be experimental, so bear with me. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure it does for sure. Oh, another... Well, I'll show you... Maybe you know this already. Before I do this, since you guys have questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer questions as they come up. If you select a bunch of segments, and then you go to Edit, you can hide marked or unmarked segments. So if you hide unmarked, all of those like go away. I mean, they don't actually go away, but it makes it easier to sort of view everything. And then you can just go back to unhide all segments. So if you do have like a ton of things in your level and you're finding it hard, especially in the orthographic view, to find everything, I found myself doing that a bunch. Just sort of focusing on one part of the level. You can hide marked too. That makes it a little bit easier to sort of go in and see what you want, marked or unmarked. That will create like this little opening, which you'll never see if you don't. But yeah, let's go back to this. Our segments sectors. I've never messed around with the Doom editor. Segments are basically just boxes, right? Like every segment is a box. You can't have it be a triangle, which is somewhat unfortunate for me at least. But every segment is a box. Okay, not a box. Because as you see here, this isn't a box. This is a other geometry. And you can mess with it as much as you want. I passed high school math class. I know shapes. But yeah, they're all six-sided shapes. Let's put it that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, they all should have 8 vertices. Chunks are different to segments. You can, and I'm not going to get into this right now. Luke has a video on chunking. You can show, I think you can show chunks. There we go. You can't show chunks. Oh, here we go. So I believe everything right now is one chunk. That's why everything's showing up in one color. I'll go back to that and see what it looks like after. But for now, I prefer this being textured. But yeah, chunking is for optimization because different parts of the level will load based on how close you are to the chunks, which sometimes creates a lot of bugs. Let's get back to building this tunnel, huh? So I'm going to do arc direction to the right because I want this one to wrap around down here. And we have a smooth slope at -10. So per full arc means how many segments would it take to do a 360 circle. So this would do a 180, right? If it's 10 and a full arc is 20, then we would do a 180. We want a little bit more than that. Let's mess around with the numbers and see what we get. A lot of this is going to be experimentation, so, you know. Let's let it go. No! Oh, because I'm not in side mode, because I'm bad. Mark a side, then do that. Alright. It looks like we didn't go down quite as far as I would like to, but this did go pretty much as far as I'd like it to, because I'd like it to meet in a bit of a bigger caved area down here, which I also sort of want to do over here. So let's go ahead and Control Z that. You're going to have to Control Z a handful of times if you want to undo a tunnel, because it Control Z's each step. If you want to see what each thing is doing, you can see the output down here. So it moved, and then undid the arc. What happens if you put fabricators in a CM level? I don't know. Go try it. I mean, I guess I could try it. Yes, since Control Z is functioning in the editor, yeah. A lot of these answers are gonna be, you guys try it. So let's go down a little bit more. So I'm right clicking to do the negative numbers. If you left click, it'll do a positive number, and it just does basic plus or minus 1 every time. You can also click and drag. I forgot where we were at last time, but let's try this. A smooth tunnel down to here. Alright, that's looking about what I want right now. Let's go ahead and you'll notice most of the time that I want to select a new side, I'm going to just like shift space. Even if I do or don't have a segment selected, I generally prefer just hitting shift space to make sure nothing is selected at all. Another good thing to do is if you find your camera's like not zooming as much as you'd want it to, select a side and hit F. That focuses on it in every view. I'll close that for right now because I need to do a couple more things here. But yeah, hitting F is, you know, to pay respects. A very beneficial tool. So I hit shift space again to make sure I had nothing selected. We'll hit space one more time to make it even with the other side. I'll insert there, unmark, mark, and then drag it out again. And then we're going to make sure we're still in side mode, select every side on that. Show texture list. Rockwell's already selected. We'll apply the texture. Boom. And easy as that. Don't worry about how rock textures look like that just yet. What about sticky keys? I don't know anything about sticky keys. Alright, so I'm going to unmark all the sides again. I'll mark that one. We're going to go back to the tunnel builder, and then we're going to go left this time. You can also go down, up, and that's it. You can't go backwards with an arc. So that's sort of beneficial to know. I'm going to keep the slope at -17 because I want them to be pretty symmetric, and create the tunnel. If I was better at copying and pasting, I'd probably do that, but I am not that good. So these meet up super well here. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no 4D geometry, but, you know, it's kind of just what it is. I got myself into this weird pickle here where I do not want 3 down here. Alright, let's just trash this whole room because that's not how I want it to be. You'll find yourself, especially early on in the editor, screwing up all of the time. As I just did there anyway because I was in side mode and not segment mode. If you want to delete segments, you have to be in segment mode. Can't be in side mode. Everything's selected because I clicked and dragged. Blam. Making a heart shape with a bow tie. Oh man, is this level gonna end up looking kind of like a penis? It totally is, isn't it? Alright, well. We're gonna go ahead and go back to side mode. Just keep an eye on mode all the time. Insert, and yeah, let's do a pretzel. Get your head out of the gutter, community. We're gonna make that wide there and wide here, and go back to side mode. Mark that, screw it out, unmark, mark, and pull it out. Okay, so now we have what I want. Unmark, mark. Luke's videos are great too because he started using a keyboard recorder, and so if he's going fast with his keyboard shortcuts, you can just sort of see them. This is gonna be weird, isn't it? How am I gonna do this? So unmark everything. I'm gonna mark this side. Alright, let's do some science here. I'm gonna unmark this. I'm gonna hit X to scroll through the sides, mark this side. I'm gonna hit X to select this side but not mark it, and then I'm going to go to the left here and I'm gonna say connect with segment. Oh my god, it did it. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. Alright, sometimes this will make some wonky geometry, and if that's the case, then you might need to move around the sides a little bit to get, you know, what you want it to do. But here we have a beautiful, boom, 8-sided shape. Connects right there. Look at that. That's, oh my god, that's fantastic. I'm gonna unselect that. I'm gonna do this again. We're gonna try one more time. Connect with segment. Oh my god, and we did it. There it is. Boom. We have a fully connected 2 loops into a sort of man-made structure over there. Boy, that looks pretty cool. Doesn't have way more vertices because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 still. So does this one. It just sort of, this right here looking a little bit thin, kind of warps that perspective a bit, but yeah. Now you're thinking with portals, except I'm not gonna mess around with those this stream. Let's see. Could I turn on the ability to key press? I would like to, but next time. As I had said, Luke's videos are a lot better at showing off the key presses and things like that. How much more do I want to do with this right now? I can start texturing these. Let's do this first. Unselect that. I'm gonna hit Shift Q. No, Control Q. Aha. Okay. What does that do? I don't want to do that. So you'll notice if you hit Q on something, it selects. It marks, not selects. It marks everything with that texture on it. Since these all have the same texture, they're going to mark all of that. If I select any of these sides and then hit Q, it's going to mark everything with the caves, which is a good time to save before I start messing with caves. So I'm going to go ahead and save. We're going to say stream test. Let's do stream CM. Shift Q is planar, Control Q is planar opposite, I think. I'll mess around with it. Yeah, those are James's levels there. I can also show you how to export these. So we need to generate a CM default data. It generates that where it needs to go. And then you can also export it as a challenge mode. I'm gonna keep it the same name to keep it all consistent. And that gets saved super quick because I do not actually have the caves actually deformed right now. Let's see. Yeah, marking versus selecting is a very good question. So I sort of went over it a little bit, but I'll go over it again because this is like, it's one of the less intuitive things, but sort of makes sense when you look at it. So the orange thing is what I have marked right now. Or no. The orange thing is what I have selected right now. And you can mark what you have selected. I was getting ahead of myself. So I'm in side mode right now. And then if these are selected, it'll only select the sides. And right now, There's a way to... Here we go. You can do side select not only visible, but you can also do like front. So then I can... Not front. All. So now I can select things even though I can't see it, right? And then if you click through, you'll just see all of those things. You can get some like select everything that you possibly can. Luke goes over that a bit more. I prefer to keep it on visible and just hit X. So this is all still just selecting, right? This isn't marking anything. This is all selecting. If you select something and then you hit X, it'll scroll through every side in that segment. And this works in every mode, including vertex. And entity. It'll make a little bit more sense when I go through placing things like that. And then segment as well, even though, so you'll notice segment highlights the entire segment because that's what segment mode does, and then side will only highlight the side in orange. But yeah, X and Shift X to go backwards, so if you wanted the floor and accidentally hit X one extra time, you don't have to go through 5 more times. Okay, after that, once you hit space on something, that's when it's marked. So marked things stay marked until you unmark them. Which, you know, sounds potentially more obvious than it is. You can go through everything and mark them. Holding shift and hitting space when anything is marked will unmark everything. Holding shift and hitting space when nothing is marked will mark everything. Which right now isn't very useful because we're just in side mode, but it's especially useful in entity mode when you want to actually mark every entity, which I was telling Shroud a little bit earlier, where if you want to show every marked entity, which I'm going to leave this on for now, it becomes useful to see all of that. What was I doing? Oh yeah, texturing. Let's do that. This is gonna be something. Mark coplanar. Okay, so I hit Shift Q there, and that marked coplanar around that way. If I hit, I hit Control Q. If I hit Shift Q, I see the difference here. Shift Q also selects coplanar, but like different. I don't know. This is something you sort of need to think about, I guess. So you can also change the angle of how big the plane is gonna select. So I do actually want to select. No, I don't want to, because that's gonna start selecting the cave. So this is fine to keep it like this. I'm gonna select this wall, hit Shift Q to select those walls. I'm gonna select this wall, Shift Q, this wall, Shift Q, and then I'm gonna manually select the rest. Because I really don't want to end up selecting a ton of things. This is why Luke has time lapses in his videos, because this is sometimes a timely process. Hopefully I selected all of those. It's pretty simple to go back and just do that, whatever. We're gonna go ahead and show a texture list. Let's do something super simple because it's right here right now. OM Wall 42A. OM stands for Outer Moons. So if you've played the game, the Outer Moons are the first 5 levels. Titan are levels 6 through 10. And then I don't think we have IM. Do we have IM? No, but there's other naming conventions like that. I think IND is industrial. OM, Outer Moons again. But let's have this nice rusty looking thing. We're just gonna have all of these marked, not selected, marked. And then we'll apply the texture. Boom. Look at that. All the walls textured. All of the walls, question mark? Yeah, OM, Outer Moon, rock walls, you know, whatever. And D Industrial. EC is Energy Center. Luke will cover how to make an energy center in one of his videos. I'm not going to go through that because it's a fair bit of scripting. CC, I have no idea what that stands for. And then Alien is Alien. Whatever. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually to go through and see, because some of these just like weren't actually named. Cryo Chamber. Ah, that's probably right. Okay, so I'm gonna unmark everything because I don't want to go back and remark everything. We can mess around with what those textures look like. Shift Q is not at all what I want to do. I'm gonna just have to mark all the floors manually at this point. This is why it's also recommended to texture your first segment first, because now I've got to go all the way back and do all of this junk. Let's keep it somewhat consistent. You know what, actually, let me see if I can do this thing that I just learned today. Texture set list. We're gonna go with the OM red. Select. Oh, this is fantastic. I forgot about this. Is this gonna work? I don't actually know. No, you know what? I'm not gonna mess around with this. This is something I've looked at for one day. I think it's supposed to, okay, if I select a texture set, let's just mess around with it. You can make new texture sets too, which is super helpful for when you start getting on a roll of building your own levels. I think this might be all I'm gonna be able to do today. But I do want to mess around with scripting a little bit, so we'll see what's up with that. Did that select what I wanted it to? Oh, whoops. I didn't want to do that. Yes. Let's not mess with that. Let's just find something that says OM floor and plop it on the floor. Boom, that looks good. Boom, plop it on the floor. I'll realign these in a second, and then we unselect everything using Shift Space. Boom, select, 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 select. Mark, or select, mark, select, mark, select, mark, select, mark. If somebody's name is Mark in chat, I'm sorry. And we'll go ahead and make a ceiling. I'll make a sort of more detailed pattern ceiling so I can show it off a little bit more. So look at that. We got everything textured except for this because I'm bad and blank. Okay. So now that we are here, let's set everything to the default map. And honestly, that already looks fantastic. Yeah, I was gonna go on about how you can align things. Let's go ahead and say I like screw around with this one if I can. Maybe I can't. Can I? Oh, everything just moves one by one now. So it's also super easy. We're just gonna go ahead and do this. If I mark this one and then select this one and then say align to selected, it'll align it just fine like that. Here, I'll show you on these two. So unselect everything, select this one, mark this one, select this one, align to selected, boom, then it looks good, it's aligned properly. That's assuming this one's aligned properly, but it kind of is, so whatever. Yes, holding shift generally fine adjusts things and takes things off the grid. So let's say I wanted to move, like, I'm gonna go to vertex mode by hitting tab, make sure nothing's selected, and then highlight these vertices. If I hold shift, okay, wait, let me show you really quick first. I know I'm bouncing around all over the place, but there's so much to do. Where is that here? Okay. I'm gonna move it in this, and then you can see it here. If I hold right click, and then I go up, that snaps it to 2, or at a scale of 2 on the grid, right? So boom, 2, 2. But if you're holding shift, it doesn't snap it anywhere, and it like wobbles as much as you want it to. Let's say you have it there, right? And then you want to snap it to the grid, you just go down to snap marked to grid, boom. And then that's not where I want it because the snapping isn't where I want it, boom. Okay. And then look at that, all looks good. Unselect that, and that all looks pretty good. Let's plop some lights in here. We'll go back to side mode. Nothing selected, and we're gonna go to decals first and plop some lights on. So I'm gonna go down to where does O come in the alphabet? I'm gonna make, I prefer doing the white lights. Is this white though, or is this kind of blue? Somebody help the colorblind person. You know what, whatever, I'm gonna do this one. So you'll see every side can have 2 decals on it. They're displayed right here. And I'm going to say apply to 1. So this puts this, you know what, I like cyan, that's all good. I'm gonna apply it to 1, boom. So there's a light up here. Let's say I want more than 1 light. Actually, yeah, let's say I want more than 1 light. This is where the coordinate system changes to U and V. U as in U and V. I think it could be opposite. I don't really care. That's arguing semantics at some point. So if I want it to automatically do that, boom. If I want it to automatically, let's plop 4 lights in there just like that. That looks pretty good. And that's pretty much all we've got to do for these lights. Let's go ahead and unmark, mark, plop that up 1, mark that down, and I'm gonna hold shift this time and get kind of a wiggly thing here, and I'm going to plop 1 more in there, and then I'm gonna plop 1 more. This is not something I really mess around with too much more, but let's show decal list again. Oh yeah, I already was. Let's go find a, is it called a grate? No. What am I looking for? Frame? No, I don't want to mess around with the frames. What, full? Aha! That is kind of what I want. This one. Let's plop that in there. Boom. We apply that to 1. Okay, so this is where it becomes nice to use these repetitions as well, so it actually fills it out. These are going to generally clip through geometry, and there's not really going to be too much we can do about that. And we'll repeat it one more time, just so that it actually fully covers it. Yeah, thanks for that, though, Shroud. I'm going to just keep it on the Rust one, because that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and texture this top one a weird texture, if I can find it. Oh, you want to do transparent? Let's plop that on there. Boom. Look at that. Now I can see out into the skybox that currently is just going to be gray, I believe. But what we can do, and this is a good time to start messing around with entities, is plop a light in. So I haven't messed around with lighting as much as I should, potentially. So I want it to face down, but be placed in this segment, right? So I'm going to place it in the segment center. If I place it on the side, it would be looking up. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that really quick so that I can show you how to do that. So if you place it on the side, it'll be looking that way, right? But after you have it selected, which I'm not in entity mode, now that we have an entity, now I screwed that all up. It doesn't like that at all. Okay. Entity mode, we're gonna have this marked, and then I'm going to say move to segment, and it will move to the segment and face the side I have selected, which is why you can still see sides in entity mode, although you're not going to be able to move geometry around like that. We're gonna make this, I don't actually know which one. Let's try Spotlight, who cares? And let's go ahead, and while we're here, I'm gonna save really quick before I destroy everything. I'm gonna hit Q, select all of these, and let's mess around with cave deformation. Actually, I kind of want to hop into the level. Let's make the start. You know what? We'll make the start where I originally made the start. The player start, you can only have one per level. I'm not entirely sure what happens if you try to have more than one, but whatever. This one will be there. Look at that. Labeled player start because I have marked ents on. If we mark all entities in entity mode, why does light not show up? I guess it's just because it's a light. Well, I lied to you all. So the player start, that's fine. We just wanted a segment center looking like that. That's all you gotta do to get a player in there. Let's go ahead and unselect that. I'm gonna place, place this at segment center here, and we're gonna make this a robot spawn point. The robot spawn, you can say what it's gonna be. I think you can also change those in the challenge mode. What you call it? I don't know. Whatever that little document thing is. But let's like plop a handful of these in just randomly right now because I want to actually start showing it off. We'll just plop another one there, and we'll plop one here, looking outside into that cave, right? And then let's plop some view CM data and move the challenge data line to the first one. I'm just gonna let it run with its default ones. I'm gonna put I believe a prop is what we want for this. We'll place it at segment center. Mine doesn't do anything. I would recommend placing a whole ton of props in your level and then seeing what they are, because there's a lot of them. Let me see if there's an item spawn, which I think maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was item. Let's try that actually. There we go. That was what I was looking for. So let's actually get back to this one and just delete that. You'll see I selected it first by hitting space, deleted it. So we got an item spawn there, plop an item spawn there, plop an item spawn there, we'll plop one right here, and we'll plop one right here. All right, let's let's export the level as is right now because I have no idea what it's going to be doing right now. Export challenge mode. Boom. Yes, I want to replace it. If you do rename it, remember that you might have to export or change what it says in that CM data. But let's hop into game. I can throw this to in-game right now. And what did I call it? I called it... I forgot that I have to restart the game for this. It's a little bit different than making a single player level. Because if you're making a single player level... Overload, why do you say you're updating? You don't need to do that. Oh, it's syncing my cloud saves. Ugh. Alright, well, give me a second. Yeah, I can show you what James has been messing around with. Yeah, it wasn't there because I had the game open. If you're messing with challenge mode levels, you have to close... Well, you have to close it to repopulate the list. But once it knows that it's supposed to be there, you can just quit to main menu and then load it back up and it'll be fine. I'll show you out, or I'll show that to you. Yeah, this is actually coming along alright. Test level James, stream CM, here we go, there it is. Let's go on training because I mostly just want to fly around it. I don't care. There we go, we got some lights in here. We got some crappy floor texture right there. I'm gonna have to mess around with that. I don't have enough power-up spawns, so they start just spawning on top of each other. You'll also notice the caves have edges on them right now, which we also don't want. Maybe I did mess up the robot spawner as you had thought. Okay, so this is a dinky little light we got here. And we can also see out into the skybox, which we don't really want. Oh, I got the HUD turned off. Yeah, okay, yeah, it is bugged. Yeah, you're right, okay. I'll look into that in a second. I mostly just wanted to look at what it looked like with everything off. And I'm sure it's beyond dark for all of you guys especially. But honestly, it's looking okay. So I'm just gonna leave the game running right now, and we'll go back to that. Let's find where we've got this CM data. Alright, what did I do? Where did I put that? Do I have to open this? You know what to open this up with? No, not that. I definitely don't want to open that. Where did this generate this to? Seam default data. Oh, view challenge mode data. Aha! To move that to be the first line. And we're gonna cut. Get that. That should be fine. And then we generate it, right? No. Oh, that does generate it. I'm bad. Alright. Well, here we go. We all learned something today. Alright. Save. Why do I keep doing that button? My brain doesn't want to. Alright, there we go. Save. Export challenge mode. Not generate a thing. Yes, we want to do that. And again, because there's nothing that it's really doing. Alright, we're all set. Now. Alright, I don't need to do that. Oh, for the weekly challenge, I'm gonna bring this up now, and see where you guys want to go with it. Because I'm solo casting this, I don't really want to make it a non-hype reveal, especially because we didn't really talk about it as much as we probably should have. But I'll talk about what this next weekly challenge is gonna be, and see how that feels. Oh, there we go. Okay, I don't have a HUD just because I didn't have the HUD on. So now we got robots in the game. We got all this. This is looking like a level, sort of. I'll turn that on, but I'll leave the cockpit off just to show off a little bit of what we did here. I'll mess around with play some more of those guys at some point, but this is looking okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and quit that. We'll go ahead and just go right back to this, which this is where it's nice because once you've loaded it up once, you can go back, keep editing the level, and then just go back in there like that. So, no, Yoshi, I might actually do that. Add some more. Let's turn the intensity of this light up to 10 and make the angle about 70. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I was gonna think like because of the competitive integrity or whatever, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, Mob Messenger, I forgot to check Discord, but yeah, catch you on the VODs. Okay, let's go mess around with cave deformation. This is everyone's favorite. So I'm going to select all the caves by hitting Q because what that does is select everything with the same texture. And I don't want to show this anymore so that I don't accidentally change that again. And okay, so we're going to change deformation height. I've noticed you don't need that much. I'm going to just set it to 35. And I'm going to hit this twice. I don't know that you actually have to. I'm going to let Luke's video explain what you have to do here. But the simplest way of doing this is setting the deformation height to something more than 0. Hit copy. And then, boom, there you go. You'll know it did something because next time you try to export, guess I want to replace it, it's going to take an extra second, which it didn't actually there. So maybe I did something wrong. Mark group, then do that. Let's pretend that did something. Yes. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now you'll see I got the little bar. Alright, and then that's all good. Now if we go into the level, I'm gonna go back to training. We'll go right into these caves. Wow, they're caves now. Which, like, you didn't even have to do anything to make it smooth out like that. Get out of here, Valkyrie. But the caves are smooth. They look pretty good. We can add some decals right here to make this transition look a little bit nicer, which is what Luke does in pretty much every level, I believe. And you got your own little challenge mode map. This is looking pretty good. You'll see some of these lighting pops happen every now and then. That's just the way chunking works right now. We're gonna try to figure things out about that, but we'll see what we can do. Lighting, this is still a very dark level. Let's see, this light looks a lot better now though that I upped the intensity and the angle. I'm actually okay with that. What I basically just want to do is add a few cave lights, because I don't really want this level to be like as dark as Labyrinth is. I can also add sort of a no shadow casting light right here, which I'll go through that a little bit. What time is it? You know what, I can go a little bit over. And let me see what I'm doing here. Nothing, 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 nothing. Alright. I'm good. I don't have obligations. So let's go ahead and just go right back into the editor. I also want to show off a locked door at some point, which I can just put right here. Yeah, it's super sweet, Yoshi, that we can do that, because like I'm one of those guys, especially early on in learning things, I very much like having the ability to super quickly check everything that I do, which is not necessarily good for quickly creating things, but you know. So I'm gonna mark a handful of these ceiling tiles. So I'm doing this just by selecting it and then marking it. It's gonna be not symmetric this time, but that's fine. We're gonna go to the decal list, and I don't want full anymore. I want cave light. So there's a few different cave lights. Since we're going with the outer moons aesthetic, I'm gonna just go with an outer moon cave light. And we'll just go ahead and apply to one. Boom, there we go. We got cave lights. They all emit a little bit of light. It's not too much, but hopefully. Okay, so the thing about Cave Deformation 2, you might see some of these floating. It's sort of something you'll have to figure out just by testing it, because you're not going to really be able to see. Basically, everything looks like it's going to be fine, but there's a potential with, like, especially with major deformation, that the lights will start floating. But that's just something you can mess around with. Let's go ahead and unselect all of those. We're going to do more decals on these. So I want one decal. I'm going to go with edge. And there was one that I really liked. I think it was... Aha, one of these. What? I forget how to do that. Oh, okay. So right click, you can see that this barely has any, what you call it, 3D-ness to it. Depth. There we go. Depth is the word I'm looking for. So this is pretty good for what I want. I've got all of these sides marked and hopefully no other ones. Alright, now we're going to apply it to one. Now you're going to notice this is going to be a mess, which is fine for right now. We're going to have to go through and do each of these separately. These are pretty good. No, they're not, because they're in center. So we want to align it to wherever. And this is only the selected one. So even if I have more than one marked, I didn't mean to do that. It's only going to be on the one that I have selected that it's going to mess around with that. So that's where I want it. Stop clicking that. That's where I want that. And I almost clicked it again, but I didn't. That's where I'm going to want that. So the top and bottom ones are going to need to repeat. So that looks good. That looks good. I mean, it doesn't yet, but I'll show you what to do about that. And just for good measure, I'm going to repeat both of these as well. So that they are going through it, so that they are for sure doing what I want them to do. And then the way that you can make it not do that, so that it doesn't show up on the auto map, you're going to adjust that way. So that cuts it off at the ends of the segments. So it's adjust up down for that one. We're going to do the same thing here. Adjust up down. And these, I believe we're going to do adjust left right. Yep. And then for the top as well, adjust left right. Boom. And there it is. So that all looks set. Where did I see this crappy floor texture? Oh, here we go. Let's make sure nothing is marked. I'm going to mark that, even though I don't really need to. I'm going to default map this texture first, and that actually fixed everything. But I can also align it. Alright, well, it's fine. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Mark both of those, default map. And this time, boom. Align to selected. Mark that, align to selected. Come on. Oh, that did align to selected. Now this one's off. So I'm gonna mark it, boom, align to selected. Unmark, mark that, boom. Actually mark it this time, boom, align to selected. Okay, now they all look good. Yoshi, I swear you don't want to. Actually, everything I've said so far is good, I think. So I'm gonna mark every side and do the same thing here, just apply the same decal, because I'm hitting X as well right now to shift through the sides. And boom, we're gonna do all that. Unmark everything. Want it to edge left. We want this to edge right. I want this to edge left. This one to stop hitting that button. Edge right. Repeat 3 times. Adjust left. No. That time, for whatever reason, it was up and down. It could be a little finicky. Is that also up, down? Yep, alright. No, that one's up, down. That one's up, down. Repeat each of these. And yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have a second monitor, guys. This is like... But like, just in my day-to-day life, how else am I gonna play Hearthstone while watching Luke make these videos? We're gonna do that. Just left, right. Another one, 2, just, or up, down, rather. Just up, down. Just up, down. Alright, some good decals on all of those so that we have a smoother transition into the caves. We've realigned all of these textures, so we got a nice textured floor. These textures could use some, so I hit Control Q. Let's unmark everything. I hit Control Q to go all the way around that. But you know, you can also do the same thing that I had basically done, manually select them all. Because right now these look a little bit silly. Let's default map them. Yeah, that's not what I want. Yeah, sometimes you do have to go back and do that. And we'll default map these. These are probably okay if they look like that. It's kind of personal preference at some point too. Some textures look better or worse when stretched too, but this one looks alright. Okay, let's save the level. I'm gonna export it as a challenge mode again. I'll hop into it one more time. Then I'm gonna do one scripting thing, and then I'll be done. But I can show off a little bit. We're just like on a roll right now. Okay, so we got sweet transition there. We got some cave lights, which are all a little too intense for what I want. But I don't really care right now. We can change the, turn down the intensity in the decal list itself. Lights have properties there. We can see out of the world. Still no cool skybox to see out of, but that's fine. And chunking sometimes does that weird purple light thing that you guys have noticed. That's sort of just a bug that's gonna happen, unfortunately, because what it's doing is, from what I can understand, is it's noticing that there is a cloak at the start of the game, and then it's putting all the reflection probes in, and then once it has all the reflection probes in, they're permanently there. That's a bug that's on our radar. You can do some things with reflection probes so that they don't do that. as much, but they sometimes just do. That was another thing that I saw in the Discord as well. But yeah. Blue Dragon, you're late. Let's see. Can you just emit cloak from the power-up list? I don't know. Probably. That's a good question that I do not currently have the answer to. Okay. I want to do one locked door, and then I want to go home. These do not have the textures that I want. So what I can do, this is a good opportunity to show you guys. If I have the texture list up, and I select a side, not mark, select a side. I say get texture from side, and it automatically highlights it there. Then when I mark them and just say apply, it applies properly. So that's a quick way to get the texture that you want. No, that's fair, Blue Dragon. We'll have the start of the VODs too, either on Twitch or on YouTube. The Twitch ones expire after a while, but YouTube should be there for as long as Google doesn't destroy YouTube. Where do I want this button? I just want this to be a super quick, like, this is how scripting works, because I don't understand it that well yet. So let's put a door segment side. So a door can never be in the center. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Yoshi. Catch you on the Discord later. Well, maybe not today. I got stuff to do today. Alright, so we got segment side, right? OM1 is the name of the door. That's fine. That's just Outer Moon 1 door. There's a ton of these, but whatever. OM1 is fine. Or is it? Maybe it's not. Maybe I need, because I thought there was. Maybe it is. Oh, yeah, dirt. Door lock. We're gonna leave, or we're gonna throw this to locked. So if the door is set to locked, then it'll be locked. You know, pretty simple. I'm actually going to put an upgrade point behind this as well. Just, you know, just cause you would never do this. Wait, no, I'm not gonna do that because I don't know what that does actually in challenge mode. Let's just put a shields behind it just for proof of concept. Because I don't know what happens if you pick up an upgrade point in a challenge mode level. And I'm not gonna find out. So let's go ahead and put a button. No, that's your homework, is find out what's going on with that. I don't want to crash it on stream. And now I'm going to put a prop on segment side, and this is going to be a switch one time, if I can find that. Switch one time. There are other switches, like the alien ones. I think that's the only one that happens. I don't know. You can watch Luke's vids for what other switches do. And now we need a script, which is going to go, it doesn't matter where. I will put the script at this segment center. Luke's thing is, hey, look at that. It automatically selected door unlock. Well, only because it's the first one on the list. So we also need, alright, bear with me if I do this wrong. Another script that's going to say on destroy. On destroy. Okay. So we need let's get the wheels turning here. So again, I'm gonna go back to this. Okay. We're in entity mode. Entity mode. If you shift space, that selects every entity, and because I have show text mark ents, I can see the names of every entity. So Shroud, this is what you were asking earlier, if it's possible to see those. So we can see CM spawn, robot spawn, CM spawn, robot spawn, and then we can see the scripts, robot spawns, all of that. So that's pretty much the best way to sort of remember all of that. Unfortunately, they all still look like triangles, but you know, that's kind of just how it all works. So let's unselect everything, and I did that just by click drag. You know, I'm gonna try to reiterate as many things as I possibly can. Yeah, Shroud, I'll see what we can do about that. I don't know. Because, yeah, I agree, it gets confusing where it's like, alright, which one's this triangle? Oh, which one's this triangle? But, okay, so scripts have links. Alright? So you'll see each of these scripts each have if I could select it, each have 5 links, 0 through 4, because that's programmer lingo, because it's an array of links. If you know anything about arrays in programming, start at 0. If you don't, now you know. So basically, we're gonna have this switch selected and marked. Not selected. We're gonna mark this switch, and then we're going to select this, and so this is going to be the first link, right? So that means when this is destroyed, and you know what this is because it's the first link. So on destroy, what is on destroyed? Link 0. So which one's that? Prop that. Which one's that? If you look at the string of numbers and letters, boom, there it is. So we got 4BEF, which is that prop, which is just whatever the editor gave it. Yeah. So the next thing is, let me make sure I got this sequencing right. I might get this wrong. So when this is destroyed, so when this triggers, this should activate this script, right? So this, yeah, this is right. Select this. I don't think you can. No, it doesn't look like you can, which also kind of sucks. Because it's just how it allocates it in its own memory. I think that's just a memory address. So when it creates it, it allocates that to the memory, and there's no way to really nicely do that, unfortunately. So I'm gonna select that, go back to here. So then when this is destroyed, do this. Do what? Do door unlock, and then what door? This door. So select or mark this door, go to this one, boom, that door. That's the door you unlock. Different scripts have different functions, so these links don't always mean what when I was saying that. I don't know. This is, I don't want to say above my pay grade because I have a computer science degree, but like, this isn't what I do in my normal day-to-day work as a QA member. So this is what interests me most about this, how powerful you can do this. You can do things like lockdown rooms. You can do things like make more than one switch, activate a script that will then unlock the door, such as level 2's secret level entrance. Spoilers. I didn't tell you where it was though, so that's good enough. But things like that. You can do pretty much all of that with this scripting. It's just a matter of doing it. So that should be it, actually. Let's go ahead, save it. I don't know. I do not know if overload scripting is turned complete. Yeah, because when we look at it in Unity, it looks fine, right? Because it's all like labeled things that we can actually see. But when it's in the editor, it's not. So, you know, just when Overload goes open source, done. Okay, not when. If Overload goes open source, you can plop all that into Unity and make a lot more. But, you know, for now, this is what we give you. Alright, let's hop into this, see if it all worked. Boom, stream CM, go back to challenge mode. Alright. So, there's the button, good. It's whatever. I don't care how it's oriented. Boom, locked door as expected. Get out of here. Locked door. Boom. Door unlocked. Oh, that's a good sign. Look at that. I know what I'm doing. Alright. So there's your incredibly brief tutorial on overload scripting. So, let's see what else we got. So that was that. It's as easy as that to make locked doors. That's really only going to be a thing that you're gonna do in single player levels. It's intimidating. It's not as it's sort of like visual scripting. I mean, it literally is visual scripting, but it's sort of like similar to other visual scripting things that you've seen. It's just harder to see all of the links without just, you know, going back and forth between all of the links, which is a little unfortunate for those of you who want to do a lot of crazy scripting stuff, such as myself. But I think just the more you work at it, the more streamlined it gets and the more fun it gets. So I think that's gonna be all for what I want to do. Let's see what we got. I've like never. All right, I'm gonna go into one of our testers' levels, Ryan, who was making a level. He somehow disabled collision on a lot. But I'm still gonna show it off because I think it looks awesome. He went all in with these lights, and maybe that's why there's no collision. But this is quite the level he's got here. You can do a lot with this geometry. It's made a bunch of pillars. Oh, I can show you guys how to do a pillar really quick too. That'll be the last thing that I do. But this is some seamed textures here. But yeah, this was pretty much what he was doing at work all day for most of this week. But this looks absolutely sweet. But, you know, it doesn't have collision for some reason. Also, you know, there's whatever. I'm reverting back to bugging everything, but like just to look at it like this is basically a challenge mode level. Like, you can already see a lot of this. But yeah, maybe I'll tell him to reduce his lights a little bit, even though it looks sweet. Let me pull one other level. Let me grab Sirius's level Helium real quick here. Go to here. We're gonna copy and paste into here. Okay, so if any of you guys have ever grabbed the Outpost level, it's the same place in Windows, Program Data Revival Overload. Mac and Linux have a slightly different path. If you check the Discord, you can see those paths pinned. Yeah, Miasmic, don't worry. Making maps is a lot different than playing maps. I mean, the potentially level design aspect of it translates over, so once you get a good grasp on how the editor is, like, that's something. Yeah, Shroud, I saw you asking about level exit and stuff, too. Don't worry about that button that we got there. But yeah, he'll go over that too in more detail in editors if you're a lot. Oh, do we still have the? Yeah, we still have the classic missions there. But you'll be able to see a lot more visually when we post those. I know we want to go through and do them little by little, just so that we're not introducing too many concepts at once. Let's plop into Helium, which is Sirius's first map. Aha! So it looks like Tutorial 2, Luke's in chat. Hype, PogChamp! So we got level 2 coming up, or Tutorial 2 coming up. And yeah, just that series is going to be beneficial to a lot of you guys. So this is another user map. Actually, Sirius threw in an energy center, which is not what we usually do, but it works. You can do crazy things that we would never dream of doing that you now have the power to do. Okay. It kind of works. So this is a really cool, like, somewhat simple level, but it's definitely got a lot of polish in it just as is. It's got the decals into areas like that. It's got a little cool little slot for pickup there, which makes a lot of sense. I think the one thing, Ed was playing this level the other day, and he found a room that's exploitable. This one. So, or maybe not this one. Maybe this one? Maybe it wasn't on this map. But, there's definitely... Oh, it was... Where was that door locked from? If you only have one entrance to an area in a challenge mode map, it's, whatever, I'm not gonna mess around with it too much. But, a good design thing, especially for challenge mode, is don't bottleneck too much, because that's definitely super exploitable. Secret room, yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing that I'll say about that level, is it's got an exploitable secret room. But then again, that's why it's a secret room, huh? I don't... You know what, let's just plop into one of James's levels, because, how come there isn't music in the custom levels? I don't know. Perhaps Luke can answer that. Oh man, James went crazy on this one. That door is not lined up right. Oh, he looks like he also did not do level or cave deformation on. But he's got a sideways door. This is quite the maze that he's made here. I mean, with a name like Funtown, why not? This is something to mess around with. What is this? Where am I? What did he do? Alright, I'm not gonna mess around with this one too much. If you guys want, I can throw this stream challenge mode map that I have done up in the Discord with the overload file too, so you can take a look at what I've done. Just for reference. I don't think I said anything too wrong throughout the whole thing. Alright, I'm not gonna not click this. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's got some caves in this one. This could be an interesting start for a level. Whoosh. Oh, is that all this is? Oh my god. Alright. I'm done looking at James's weird levels. Hopefully I'll get some single player levels set up pretty soon here too. If you're looking for those tutorials, if you're on Twitch, !editor will take you to the playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find all of our streams there. Give me a minute and I'll upload what I got here. This already took like forever just to make this, but it, you know, it's something. I don't know. It's got a button in it. Oh no! Hold on, Luke, you got timed out by Nightbot, and I don't know how to not do that. Alright, new one's live on YouTube. I'm not actually on Twitch right now, so I can't do that right now. I'll throw it in the Discord as well in a second here. We'll get everything set up. Otherwise, stay tuned for more of these. If you guys liked this, is it also on Twitch? No, we do not post the tutorials on Twitch because they're all pre-recorded and uploaded in chunks after being edited. So they're not technically live streams. There's a little bit more effort put into them than just me going, all stream. But, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something. If not, thanks for hanging out with me anyway. We'll hopefully get an opportunity to play some of your guys' levels. Maybe we'll just do that on stream next week. Oh, okay. For the weekly challenge, I believe... Okay, I'll post it in the Discord as well, which I will keep plugging. The weekly challenge, I'm going to extend the current one till next week so that we can actually have an opportunity to look at it together. And I'm going to start as well a 2-week challenge starting today to make a challenge mode map. So I know a lot of you guys are still new with the editor. 2 weeks is hopefully enough time to get some cool results. So we're basically going to judge what we should have judged this week, next week, and then after that, we're going to be looking at your guys' challenge mode maps. And I think we're just going to be voting on it as we have been sort of in the past where we're going to play it. Frankly, I guess the following week we can just have an entire stream of first impressions of all of the maps. And go ahead and do that. Otherwise, what else? Do I need to plug anything? If you want to download the map editor, we should have it. You could probably quote me on this. We should have it as Steam DLC. Let me plop into this one so you can see my face a little bit more. Not that you want to. So Steam DLC. We also have a link directly to it hosted on our website, or at least on Amazon's servers. We've got a pinned link as well if you want just the standalone in the level editor channel in our Discord. Feel free to post your levels currently right now in the level publishing in our Discord. We may be working with a few sites to see what we can do about getting them hosted. Steam Workshop's on our radar, but right now we're not messing around with it either. But that would be actually super cool to get more of a curator thing. It's possible to put it as goodies on GOG too. Possibly. That's another thing that we'd have to ask the guy who actually puts the builds up. Well, Matt, not the guy, you know, the co-owner of the company. Yeah, Matt's the one that usually messes around with GOG. We can see if we can do that as well. I'm not gonna promise it because we've already had a bunch of weird things with GOG. But for sure, if you're looking for it right now and you don't want to go through any weird service, check our Discord. We've got the link pinned in the level editor channel in the Discord. And it looks like, yeah, so as we were speaking, Luke plopped in the editor tutorial number 2, geometry editing, which is a lot of what we were doing today, just in there. We can also, if you're watching the VOD on YouTube, we'll have links down below, or you can just go to the channel, and we should have a playlist set up for these things as well. Yeah, I don't know. That should be about it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll get this level with the dot overload up as well. And until next time, guys, take it easy.